A couple weeks ago, you must have seen this photo somewhere from the internet. Arc de Triomphe wrapped up in some kind of fabric. Some people praise it as a great piece of art to recreate the world-famous landmark. Some see it as pointless and wasteful of materials. And many others show their awe while admitting that they didn't really understand the meaning behind it. So today we're going to dig a little bit deeper and trying to come up with our own understanding of the what, the how, and the why behind this artwork. Hello everyone, welcome to Visual Literacy Hub. This is Angela. I created this channel to record my daily observation and analysis about this very visual world that we live in, because I don't want to be passively consumed by the bombarding visual information thrown at me. I want to stay critical and become a clever consumer. My analysis you see in this channel is 100% personal, nothing close to professional opinions. I want this channel to be about you and I together, taking our time to see, to think, and to share. Well, let the fun begin. Let's first get to know our artists. Between September 18th and October 3rd, 2021, Arc de Triomphe was completely wrapped up and disappeared for 16 days. This act was conceived by the artist couple Jeanne-Claude and Crystal from the art project conceived 60 years ago. The project is called Arc de Triomphe Wrapped. This artist couple is renowned in contemporary art for creating large-scale environmental art using fabric to wrap or surround buildings and nature environment around the world. Each of their work cost them millions of euros and years, often decades, to prepare. However, they usually only exist for weeks, sometimes days, even hours. Crystal was born on June 13, 1935, in a Bulgarian industrialist family. Encouraged by his mother, Crystal began to take drawing and painting lessons at the age of 6. He studied at the National Academy of Art in Sofia under the doctrine of socialist realism, took courses in drawing, painting, sculpture, and architecture. Jeanne-Claude was born on the very same day in the French military family. After being educated in Morocco, France, Switzerland, and Tunisia, Jeanne-Claude received her degree and started to train as a stewardess for Air France. When the Hungarian Revolution broke out, Crystal fled to Vienna in a sealed freight car and later moved to Geneva. Crystal supported himself by washing cars and dishes, as well as painting classical portraits for wealthy people. By March 1957, Crystal obtained a French visa and saved enough money to go to Paris, where he had his first studio, made many artist friends, and met his wife Jeanne-Claude when he was doing portraits for her family. Under the influence of American avant-garde, Crystal's studio began to fill with inexpensive items such as boxes, cans, barrels, and everyday objects that he wrapped up with fabric and rope. At the end of July 1961, Crystal's first solo exhibition opened. On this occasion, Crystal and Jeanne-Claude realized their first co-produced artwork, which was constructed from rolls of paper and oil barrels wrapped with tarpaulin and rope, as the metaphor for the West's dependence on oil, implying references to political, economic, and environmental issues. Ever since then, this artist couple began their journey in wrapping or surrounding more things, bigger things. Note here that they hated being called as wrapping artists. The wrapping is not at all the common denominator of their work. What is really the essence is the use of fabric, cloth, and textile, which are fragile, sensual, and temporary materials. They are some of the cleanest artists in the world. All of their work was eventually removed, the scenes were restored to the original conditions, and the materials were recycled. Crystal worked an average of 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Jeanne-Claude about 12 to 13 hours a day, and they did not take vacations. Before passing away in 2009 and 2020 successively, Jeanne-Claude and Crystal spent their whole life showing beauty by making the familiar object unfamiliar, from trees to buildings, from valley to island. Now, let's take a closer look at their last piece of artwork, Arc de Triomphe wrapped. When he arrived in Paris, Christo rented a small room near the Arc de Triomphe and had been attracted by the monument ever since. In 1962, he made a photomontage of the Arc de Triomphe wrapped, and in 1988, a collage. 60 years later, the vision was finally achieved by the rest of his team in partnership with the city of Paris and many other local organizations and museums. It was wrapped in 25,000 square meters of recyclable silvery blue polypropylene fabric and with 3,000 meters of red rope. This project was entirely funded by the artists themselves through the sale of Christo's early studies, drawings, and collages of the project, as well as scaled models. It received no public funds nor sponsors. The fact that Christo and Jeanne-Claude paid for their project with their own money was also an aesthetic decision. They wanted to do whatever they want, how they want it, and where they want it. In fact, in 1988, they refused a $1 million fee for a 60-second commercial on Japanese television. This art feast was free, open for everyone to watch, touch it, and express their views. The intricate carvings on the Arc de Triomphe were concealed by the fabric, allowing us to pause our attention on details and to refocus on the contour of this marvelous landmark that people pass by and take for granted every day. When the silvery fabric flutters in the wind, the usual solemn Arc de Triomphe becomes vivid and sensual. If I was there, I definitely could not help but to touch it, hug it, and feel it. Now, let's have a look at some of their early renowned work. In 1969, 2.4 kilometers of Little Bay, which is located in the southeast of the center of Sydney, was wrapped by approximately 92,900 square meters of fabric and 6.3 kilometers of polypropylene rope. 17,000 manpower hours over a period of 4 weeks were expended by 15 professional mountain climbers, 110 workers, mainly students from the University of Sydney and East Sydney Technical College, as well as a number of Australian artists and teachers. The coast remained wrapped for a period of 10 weeks. Then all the materials were removed and recycled, and the site was returned to its original condition. This colossal project shocked me, not only by its scale or the level of challenge to realize it, but also the whimsical imagination triggered. It reminds me of the covered furnitures in those vacant houses and buildings, as if one day when humanity disappears, some superior force will land on Earth and cover up the landscape, waiting for its new users to come. On May 7, 1983, after more than 2 years of planning and preparation, the installation of Surrounded Island was completed in Biscayne Bay, Greater Miami. 11 of the island was surrounded with 603,870 square meters of pink polypropylene fabric. For 2 weeks, this artwork was enjoyed by the public from all different angles and views. The luminous, pink, shiny fabric was in harmony with the tropical vegetation of the island, the Miami sky, and the blue shallow water. Note here that rather than leaving any trace of work behind, the crew picked up and removed some 40 tons of varied garbage around the island. Surrounded Island was explained as a work of art that underlining the various elements and ways in which the people of Miami live between the land and water. To me, it looks like Water Lily by Monet, turning the landscape into a giant piece of oil painting. October 9, 1991, 1,880 workers began to open the 3,100 umbrellas in Ibaraki, Japan, and California. Each umbrella was 6 meters high and 8.66 meters in diameter. This art was to reflect the similarities and differences in the way of life and the use of land in these two inland valleys. In the precious and limited space of Japan, the umbrellas were positioned closer together and sometimes following the geometry of a rice field. Sitting in the luxuriant vegetation enriched by water all year round, the umbrellas were made blue. To me, it reflects the calm, the quiet, and modest image of Japanese people. In California, on the vast land of brown hills and blonde grass, the umbrellas were yellow and were randomly spread in all different directions. To me, it also represents the warm character of people in California. Jeanne-Claude and Crystal broke the vast geographic barriers through such an unprecedented way and linked the people of two regions emotionally and sensually. 11 manufacturers in Japan, USA, Germany, and Canada prepared the various elements of the umbrellas. The construction work started a year before its opening by a total workforce of more than 500 people in Ibaraki and California. On October 4th, 1991, thousands of students, agricultural workers, and friends joined the workforce to complete the installation. For a period of 18 days, the umbrellas were enjoyed by the public, either in cars from a distance or by walking under their giant shadow. During the removal, the land was restored to its original condition. The umbrellas were taken apart and most of the elements were recycled. Someone once asked the couple why they spend so much time and money to realize the work that only exists for a short amount of time instead of keeping them as conceptual art. They say it's because they believe it will be a work of joy and beauty, and the only way to see it is to build it. The reason why they use fabric for their work was clearly explained on their website. For 5,000 years, artists have tried to utilize a variety of different materials: marble, stone, bronze, wood, fresco, and paint. But there's only one quality they've never used, and that is the quality of love and tenderness that human beings have, which does not last. Crystal and Jeanne-Claude wish to donate this quality of love and tenderness to their work as an additional aesthetic quality. The fact that their work were ephemeral creates an urgency for us to see it. Just like how one will never say, "I will look at the rainbow tomorrow." As an important part of visual literacy, what defines art? We all have our own interpretation. To me, personally, the value of art lies in the ability to trigger conversation, stimulate thinking and reflection. Nowadays, people are so used to keeping great things and moments in their photo albums instead of taking the time to appreciate them in the moment. But there's no better way to appreciate art than being in the same space with them, giving them our 100% attention, feeling them with our senses. Time is precious, and because of that, we remember things better when we actually spend our precious time on them. It becomes a part of our timeline, our life experience, and it remains there, enriches our soul and our present and our past and future. Crystal and Jeanne-Claude's artwork urged us to feel art physically and emotionally, right here, right now. They encourage us to think about the space we occupy and what they mean to our everyday life. That's why I love their concept and hold full respect for their contribution to the world of art. That's all I want to share with you today. Thank you for watching. If you live in Melbourne, which landmark do you wish to be redefined by this artist couple? The top of Melbourne Central, the Flinders Street, or Yarra River? If you live anywhere else in the world, which one in your city do you wish to be wrapped or surrounded by fabric? Let me know in the comment below. Like this video and subscribe if you find it interesting or it inspired some critical thinking in you. See you next time. Bye! 603,870 square meters of pink woven polypropylene fabric.